And today we find ourselves with this disturbing situation because Cardinal Burke, one of the voices for orthodoxy to many people, under Pope Benedict XVI, he certainly was, has been terminated by his successor, which is very strange to us all. But we want a message of hope in these times. And so we're going to take a story from Padre Pio and also one from St. John Bosco that we can kind of relate into this situation. Now, very interestingly, one of the techniques, we could say, in meditative prayer is to visualize or to imagine oneself in a gospel situation and to feel all of the environment in that situation, all of the sensations, all the tensions in that. And so perhaps this situation with Cardinal Burke, the angst that we get from it, we could relate to our Lord in the Garden of Gethsemane, and this can help to drive our prayers forward towards heaven. Now, just a brief bit of background for those who are not aware of Cardinal Burke's situation. I'm sure most people are. But it's not a unique situation because many good people have been cancelled recently. Bishop Strickland comes to mind. But the situation with Cardinal Burke, we could say, is a little bit more messy because his apartment was removed from him, and also his pension, his finances have been terminated. Not sure quite what this means. Has he, in a sense, been thrown out onto the street without any money and no trial and no way of appealing this situation? And yet, by contrast, someone like Cardinal Becciu, who is on trial for massive corruption scandals within the church, embezzlement and things like this, he still retains all of those privileges. But the one who calls for orthodoxy, the guillotine is brought out for him. And as Cardinal Muller astutely observes, this sort of behavior in fact undermines the office of the papacy. And in his day, of course, Padre Pio received similar treatment. So this is our time, of course, the good of being stripped of things like this, and it is very good reason, therefore, why this world is not our destination. It's simply our vehicle to the destination, which is heaven. And if we're able to live like that, it was the advice of Saint Teresa, then these things won't disturb us so much. So on this channel, on Great Saints, we do want to bring hope, and we have a message, two short stories, one from Padre Pio and the other from St. John Bosco. Please do listen on. We're also having a donation drive. We needing to get a certain amount of money in to be able to continue these videos. We'd really appreciate your help, and we want to thank those people who have already made donations. You're making all of this possible for us. Now, when Padre Pio wanted to combat evil, he brought out his most powerful weapon. And of course, Padre Pio in his lifetime had witnessed so many evils. He lived through 2 world wars. Not only that, but in the confessional, he could read what was in the heart of people, of the people confessing in front of them. He knew exactly what it meant. And he saw the hatred and the evils that existed in the hearts of people. And yet, in the face of such profound evils, Padre Pio had one single weapon which he brought to the table. And he said, some people are so foolish that they think they can go through life without the help of the Blessed Mother. So she is the secret in his battle, in his spiritual battle. And he had counseled people, love the Madonna and pray the rosary. For her rosary is the weapon against the evils of the world today. The words of Padre Pio. Her rosary is the weapon against the evils of the world today. And then one night he wasn't able to find his rosary. And so he called out to the friar who was helping him and said to him, young man, get me my weapon, give me my weapon. And by this, he meant his rosary. He attributed everything to the Blessed Mother and believed that her intercession was incredibly powerful, able to heal both body and soul. Now, many of us might struggle to pray the rosary on a daily basis, and in these situations, Padre Pio encourages us just to persevere as best we can. And he believed that when the rosary is prayed devoutly in the heart, anything is possible. In our second story, this is from St. John Bosco, another great saint. And in this we see how a sinister snake was no match for the string of Hail Marys. Now, St. John Bosco, of course, was a very holy priest whose deep spiritual life led him to these frequent visions, or dreams rather. God communicated to St. John Bosco through these dreams. And so he wrote about this one dream in particular in this letter to his students. The dream occurred, he tells them, on the eve of the feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary into heaven. In this dream, a stranger came up to St. John Bosco and asked him to look at something over there on the ground. And then he took me to a meadow alongside the playground. Of course, he taught at a school, so there's a playground at the school. And there, beside the playground, he pointed to this huge, ugly snake. He said it was over 20 feet long. It was coiled in the grass. Frightened, St. John Bosco said, I just wanted to run off. But the stranger held him back and said, go closer and take a good look. What? I gasped. Don't you realize that monster will spring on me and it will devour me? Don't be afraid. The stranger told him, nothing of the sort is going to happen to you. Just come with me. And the stranger then went and got a length of rope. And he asked John Bosco now to take the rope and to slap or to beat the snake with the rope. And they stretched the rope out, and then John Bosco snapped it across the snake's back. And the monster sprang immediately up and struck out at the rope. But as it did so, it ensnared itself as if in a noose. And the snake began to struggle, and it soon died. Then the stranger picked up the rope and put it into a box. And St. John Bosco says what happened next was absolutely astonishing. We looked, moments later, they opened the box and they looked inside. And there they saw the rope had now arranged itself into the words, Ave Maria, Hail Mary. Something very, very symbolical. How did this happen, I asked. The snake, the man replied, is a symbol of the devil. Whereas the rope stands for Ave Maria, or rather the Rosary, which is of course a succession of Hail Marys, with which we can strike and conquer and destroy all of hell's demons. And St. John Bosco took this lesson to heart and wrote to his students and told them, let us devoutly say the Hail Mary whenever we are tempted, and we will be sure to win. The Rosary for Padre Pio, of course, was not just this rote succession of Hail Marys, but it was an intimate offering to his beloved Mother in heaven. And that is how we should pray the Rosary, of course. And Padre Pio possessed a great love of the Virgin Mary, and he remained close to her during the many times of trial that he had to pass through. Just a reminder that we are having this donation drive, and we do now rely on your support for these videos to continue. And next time, something quite exciting that has happened is that Raymond de Souza, the international Catholic apologist, has recorded for us a series of videos on purgatory. Very interesting series, fascinating. Please do join us next time for the series of videos on purgatory by Raymond de Souza.